Passengers protest after blind man with guide dog kicked off of plane. Thank you for watching the Power News with Shikama. A US Airways Express flight from Philadelphia to Long Island was canceled Wednesday night after passengers rallied behind a blind man who was removed from the flight after his service dog became restless. I'm going to give you the story as it happened and then give you some facts behind the story. So a blind man with a service dog was sitting on the plane. The dog was laying in the aisle. Everybody was seated, and the flight attendant came and said, "You need to put the dog, stow the dog under the seat in front of you, or behind, or beneath you, or whatever." Well, I believe the passenger said, "He's fine. He's fine, and he will move if anybody walks by." To which the flight attendant started cursing out the blind man, and then proceeded to kick him off. The more agitated the flight attendant got with talking to the blind man. Well, the blind man was kicked off of the flight, and then the other passengers rallied and said the blind man was not doing anything. It was the flight attendant who was in the wrong, and they proceeded to leave the flight. They left the flight to so many numbers that they finally canceled the flight. Now, here's a couple of facts afterwards. There were empty seats on the plane that the blind man and dog could have had. He could have had an entire row to himself. Instead of the flight attendant telling him to move to those seats, he wanted to cramp the dog, which I believe is a Labrador Retriever. It's not that small of a dog. And I don't know all of the regulations, but there are a ton of regulations about what you can and cannot say to somebody with a service dog. So even if the flight attendant thought he was in the right, he was in the wrong. So the plane had already been seated. Every passenger was on it, and they had empty seats that the blind man could have gone. The blind man said that he was very, of course, depressed with the way the guy made him feel. He said that he had finally begun to not feel so down about his blindness. People were responding to him nicely finally in his life, and then this person comes along and makes him just feel like trash. But he said that when the people came off the plane in protest, it made him feel like $1 million. I do not know what happened to the flight attendant, but I know that the flight was canceled. This restores my faith in humanity, that people will stand up in the face of injustice. Tell me what you think about that story, and thanks for watching Power News.